I never thought I'd be standing here, looking back at the biggest decision of my life, one that changed everything. You see, it wasn't just the day I found out I was in love. It was the day I realized that love wasn't where I thought it was. It was with someone I never imagined, someone I never even knew. It all started like any other ordinary day, but I didn't know that everything was about to change. Life has a funny way of sneaking up on you like that, doesn't it? One moment, you're moving through the motions, and the next, your world is turned upside down. I was never the kind of person to believe in love at first sight. In fact, I often thought that kind of thing only happened in movies or fairy tales. My life was simple work, friends, family, and the occasional weekend outing. Nothing that would suggest something like this was about to happen to me. I remember the day it started so clearly. It was a rainy Tuesday, and I was running late for work. I had my umbrella, my coffee, and a thought in my head that I'd make it through another ordinary day. But then I saw him. It was just a glance, nothing more. He was standing at the bus stop, looking down at his phone, his hair falling over his eyes. He wasn't doing anything extraordinary, just standing there, like everyone else. But for some reason, my heart skipped a beat. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was just the loneliness I felt that day. The next day, I saw him again, and this time we made eye contact. It was brief, but there was something there, something that felt like it mattered. I didn't know why, but it made me want to know more. Who is this person, and why did I feel this strange pull toward him? Days went by, and every time I saw him, the feeling grew stronger. I started to look for him. Not in a creepy way, but enough that I began changing my routine, hoping our paths would cross. I passed by the bus stop at the same time, just hoping for that same brief moment of connection. And it kept happening. But the thing is, I didn't even know his name. I didn't know where he worked or where he was from. All I knew was what I could see, the way his eyes lit up when he smiled, the way he looked so comfortable in his own skin. That's when I started wondering, what was I really feeling? Was this love? Or was I just searching for something in a stranger because it felt easier than facing what was missing in my life? The turning point came on a Thursday afternoon. I was standing in the same spot waiting for my bus, and I saw him again. This time, he was talking to a woman. She was laughing at something he said, and my heart sank a little. I didn't know why, but I couldn't stop watching them. They looked so natural together, like they had known each other forever. It was the first time I realized that maybe I was just another stranger to him, someone he'd never noticed. And the truth hit me hard. I wasn't even on his radar. He had his own life, his own story, and here I was, caught up in a fantasy that didn't exist. But just as I was about to turn and walk away, he looked over at me. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, time stopped. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing, and I had no idea what to do. He smiled, and then, almost as if by instinct, he walked over. "I see you waiting here every day," he said with a soft smile. "Do you always take the bus at the same time?" I nodded, barely able to get the words out. "Yeah, I think so." And just like that, the ice was broken. We began talking, casually at first, but there was something in his voice that made me feel like we had known each other forever. We talked about everything and nothing, life, work, and what it meant to be happy. But as we spoke, I realized something that made my heart stop. This wasn't just some casual conversation. The way he was looking at me, the way he was listening, it felt real. For the first time, I felt seen, and in that moment, I understood. I had been looking for love all along, but not in the way I thought. It wasn't about finding someone who fit into my idea of love. It was about letting someone in who could see me for who I really was. The days that followed were filled with a strange mixture of excitement and fear. I kept seeing him every morning at the bus stop, and each time, The conversation felt more comfortable, more familiar. We'd laugh about silly things, share stories, and slowly, I started looking forward to those moments more than I cared to admit. But then, one day, everything changed. He didn't show up. The bus stop was empty, and my heart dropped into my stomach. I waited, but there was no sign of him. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he was just running late, or maybe he decided to take a different route that day. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I tried to keep busy to distract myself. All I could think about was him. Where was he? Why hadn't he come? Had I said something wrong? Had I misread everything? It wasn't until the next morning that I found out the truth. As I was standing there, waiting, I saw him. He was walking toward me, but his face was different. He seemed distant. His usual warmth was gone, replaced by something colder, more distant. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I felt my stomach twist. "What's wrong?" I've been seeing someone else," he confessed. "I didn't mean for things to get complicated, but I think I need to be honest with you. You deserve that." It felt like the world was crashing down around me. I didn't know what to say. I had spent so much time dreaming of something that wasn't real. He wasn't in love with me. He wasn't even interested in me the way I had hoped. For a moment, I wanted to cry, but then I realized something. This wasn't the end. It wasn't the end of me or the end of love. It was a beginning. A painful, messy, but real beginning. I walked away from that conversation with my heart broken, but something inside me had shifted. I had spent so much time trying to force something to happen, trying to make him feel the way I felt, but the truth was, love doesn't work like that. It can't be rushed and it can't be controlled. I started to let go of the idea of him, and in doing so, I began to heal. I focused on myself, on my own growth and happiness. And as time passed, I understood that the love I had been searching for wasn't about finding the perfect person. It was about learning to love myself first. I'll never forget the day I found out I was in love with a stranger. It changed me in ways I never expected. But I've learned that life doesn't wait for anyone. It's up to you to move forward, even when you feel lost. Because in the end, the person you need to love most is the person staring back at you in the mirror. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes love is a lesson wrapped in heartbreak, but every lesson is worth it. Because it's not the end of the story, it's the beginning of the next chapter. I hope this story inspired you. Like, share, and subscribe if you want more powerful stories. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback means a lot. See you in the next video.